Then, on the fourth night post-dinner, Jake, the brother, not the ex, turned up at my door holding 2 tubs of ice cream and wearing his puppy-eyed guilt smile. "You're still my least favorite brother," I said, stepping aside to let him in. Because in every family dispute, there's always one side of sarcasm and one of forgiveness, and I zigzag between them hourly. "I swear, I didn't mean for it to blow up this bad," he said, collapsing onto the couch. "I called Mom because I thought she'd, send cookies or something." "She sent lasagna and emotional chaos," I said. "She's consistent," he said, grinning. We ate silently for a while. The kind of sibling silence that isn't comfortable, yet somehow tender. Eventually, he said quietly, "I just hate seeing you unhappy. You were drifting in that relationship." I might have used bad judgment trying to expedite what was inevitable. I raised an eyebrow. By accidentally detouring through nuclear chaos? He winced. Details. The edge in me softened. Maybe he wasn't entirely wrong. The breakup message, however accidentally publicized, had been necessary. And after all, none of this would have exploded if I hadn't been dragging my feet about ending things in the first place. Somehow, in the weirdest way, his interference had exposed what I wasn't brave enough to finish cleanly. Over the next weeks, the family drama morphed into an awkward running joke. Aunt Lena started signing off texts with "Wrong Jake," and even sent me a mug printed with the phrase. My father, usually emotion-averse, took me out for lunch one Saturday and admitted quietly, "I'm proud of you for choosing peace over comfort." That's harder than it looks. Coming from him, who treats feelings like rare exotic birds, it meant more than I expected. The real shift happened 2 months later at a cousin's wedding, because of course fate loves symmetry. I arrived early to help set up, only to realize the seating chart had me next to my ex. I considered faking food poisoning until my brother caught me hovering by the bar and intercepted like an overconfident bodyguard. "I already swapped the cards," he said. "You're sitting with me." "Thank God." He smirked. "You can repay me by finding me a date before I die single. Given your helpful streak, I'm not sure you deserve one." But the night unfolded surprisingly well. Surrounded by music and laughter, I noticed I could see my ex across the dance floor without a twist of regret. He looked happy, or at least unburdened. And for the first time, that didn't make me flinch. Maybe endings weren't purely losses. They were space makers. Later, as the music dimmed to a ballad, my brother leaned closer. "For what it's worth, I miss when life was simple, and your biggest crisis was whether to dye your hair purple." "Simple?" I snorted. "Mom grounded me for that." "Yeah, but your hair looked amazing." Something in both of us relaxed. That quiet understanding that forgiveness in families rarely comes from formal apologies. It surfaces in shared jokes, small gestures, mutual eye rolls. I thought the chaos had settled for good then, but drama, like a family heirloom, tends to resurface when least expected. 3 weeks after the wedding, my mother called to announce that Thanksgiving this year would be a family reset. Translation: forced group therapy wrapped in stuffing. "And everyone's invited," she said brightly. I should have known. "Even Jake?" "Uh-huh. And both of them," she said. "Of course." By November, our family chat log read like a diplomatic briefing. My ex, doing his noble best, agreed to attend. Apparently he and my brother had developed some bizarre friendship through shared mockery of my culinary skills. I baked a pie out of spite and survival, vowing to avoid eye contact all evening. But nothing goes as planned in the Morgan household. Midway through dinner, Grandma clinked her glass. "I just want to say," she began dramatically, "that I'm proud of how this family handles misunderstandings." I inhaled too quickly. The pie nearly became shrapnel. "Some people," she continued, eyeing me fondly, "let mistakes define them. Not our Claire. She turned one wrong text into self-improvement." There was applause, actual applause. as I half bowed to distract from my mortification. My ex raised his glass from across the table, brother Jake gave me a theatrical thumbs up, and Mom looked smug, as if this chaos had been part of some master plan character development exercise. And sitting there, beneath the amber glow of candles and the rustle of family chatter, I found myself laughing, truly laughing, without bitterness this time. The absurdity had looped back to something almost beautiful. Everyone connected again, even through the web of my colossal mistake. Maybe that was the lesson hiding underneath the wreckage. Control is a myth. Mistakes are inevitable, and laughter is cheaper than therapy. Yet the story wasn't quite over, because that night, after dishes and goodbyes, while driving home with the hum of streetlights flickering through my windshield, I spotted a text notification from an unknown number. "Hi Claire, this is Mark. I sat next to you at the wedding bar. I've heard a lot about your famous text incident. I promise I proofread mine twice. Coffee sometime?" I laughed so hard I had to pull over. The next morning, I showed it to my brother, who immediately grinned. "Guess the Morgans are still matchmaking," he said. And maybe I thought that was okay, because sometimes the worst wrong message can land you right where you needed to be, wiser, lighter, and unafraid to hit send again. By December, normal had stealthily returned. Though in our house, normal had always come with a side of comedic absurdity. The accidental breakup text had been demoted to folklore, retold at parties with wine-soft laughter and ever-embellished details. My father started referring to it as the Great Jake Confusion. Even my own panic had mellowed into affectionate disbelief. It had become the family's favorite cautionary tale. Double-check your messages and always differentiate your Jakes. But life doesn't pause for embarrassment. Work ramped up for the end-of-year campaigns, and my apartment began filling with cardboard boxes because I was finally moving, a choice that seemed small but felt monumental. For the first time, I wasn't moving in with someone or running from something. I was choosing space just for me. One snowy Wednesday evening, while packing books into boxes labeled "More Books," my phone buzzed. It was Mark, the guy who'd texted after my Thanksgiving standing ovation turned therapy session. We'd exchanged a few polite messages about hobbies and terrible pie recipes since then. Nothing serious. His new text read, "Snow seems nicer with hot chocolate. You in?" There was an inevitable nervous flutter in my stomach, the first in months that wasn't dread. We met at a tiny coffee shop on the corner, the kind with fogged windows and mismatched mugs. Outside, flakes fell to the rhythm of jazz leaking from hidden speakers. Mark waved when I entered, all awkward charm and dimples. Before I even sat down, he grinned. "So, you've learned to check names twice before texting?" "Religiously," I said. I added middle initials, full surnames, and probably a blood type, just to be safe. He laughed. "Good. I'd hate to be mistaken for another disaster." Conversation flowed easily, surprisingly so. He'd been at that cousin's wedding as a +1 for a friend, which made the circle of coincidences even smaller. We talked about cancellations and new beginnings, about the ridiculousness of adult life, about how breakup stories are really just prefaces to growth. When he walked me home under the snow glow of streetlights, it struck me that this felt uncomplicated. No script, no pressure, just two people sharing an accidental evening. Proof that chaos sometimes plants the gentlest seeds. Back home, I sat by my window, watching snow gather on the sill. My phone buzzed again, this time from Jake Morgan, brother. "You alive? Mom says there's a blizzard. Also, how's Mr. Hot Chocolate?" I rolled my eyes, smiling. "Fine. Stop leaking information to Mom." "Too late. She's already planning the wedding pie," he wrote. Despite myself, I laughed out loud. Between the flakes and the glow, everything felt lighter. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, my life rearranged itself into something quietly solid. The family cooled their matchmaking enthusiasm, though Grandma still sent me inspirational graphics. One, memorably, a sparkling phone icon with the quote, "One wrong message can lead to the right love." I kept it pinned to the fridge out of irony and affection. As for my brother and my ex, their strange truce evolved into friendship. They both claimed it was based on shared hatred of my cooking, which I allowed because peace was more valuable than pride. Every now and then, my brother would bring up that infamous text across dinner, just to watch me bury my face in a napkin. But one Sunday afternoon, he said something different. "You know," he began while flipping through TV channels, "I used to think you needed someone to keep you steady. Turns out you're steadier without anyone steering." It startled me more than I expected. "That's the most emotionally aware sentence you've ever said." He grinned. "Don't get used to it." The line lingered as I drove home later, windows down despite the chill. Maybe he was right. The breakup, the chaos, the family circus, it had all forced me to stand on my own 2 feet, wobbly but upright. Sometime in spring, Mark and I started actually dating, gently, without the weight of expectations. He laughed easily, listened well, and never once misused humor to hide sincerity. One evening, while we cooked dinner, he insisted that cereal doesn't count as cooking. He asked, "Do you ever wish the wrong message hadn't happened?" I thought for a moment, stirring pasta. "No," I said honestly. "It was awful, but it shook loose everything that wasn't working. It also showed me who really had my back." He smiled. "Chaos with benefits." Exactly. By summer, the story of the wrong Jake message had transitioned from humiliation to familial legend. During my parents' backyard barbecue, someone inevitably mentioned it again, and my brother raised his glass. "Here's to my sister," he said, winking. "Our family's first viral moment. May our future mistakes be half as entertaining and twice as profitable." The table erupted in laughter, and for once I joined wholeheartedly. No embarrassment. Just amusement at how absurdly full circle life can be. Later that night, when everyone drifted inside and the fireflies took over the yard, I sat on the porch with my mother. She handed me a glass of lemonade and said softly, "You know, Claire, sometimes the universe uses the wrong number to send the right message." I smiled, tracing the condensation on the glass. "You've been talking to Grandma, haven't you?" "Always," she said with a wink. We sat in easy quietness, the kind that's stitched together by shared chaos and relief. In that moment, under the hush of summer air and the flicker of lantern light, I realized that every embarrassing, messy, mortifying part of the past year had led me right here, safe, whole, and laughing again. When I went to bed that night, I checked my phone one last time before setting it on the nightstand. Inside my contacts list, still neatly labeled, were 2 Jakes, distinguished forever by a single heart emoji and one small lesson in humility. I created a new contact below them, saving Mark's number carefully as Mark, worth the right text. Sometimes, the biggest disasters just reroute you onto better roads. And maybe that's the quiet magic of mistakes. They don't end your story. They just edit the opening line.